There we go. We don't want all that stuff. Second plus 712. Okay, so how is solving an inequality different than solving an equation? Well, yeah, but what about the process of it? What do you have to be careful of when you're solving an inequality? What about the negative? When you do what? When you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the direction of the inequality. So that's something to keep in mind. Other than that, everything is really just the same. Like if I was going to do this with the math of it, right, I look at it like an equation. I got variables on both sides, variable terms on both sides. I would want to move the smaller of the two. Which is the smaller between negative 2x and plus 4x? Okay, how do I cancel negative 2x on the left? Add 2x, right? So plus 2x, oops, don't have my pen on. Right, so add 2x, and we're going to get 13 is less than or equal to 37 plus 6x. Okay, now that's a two-step inequality. What are the last two steps to solve? Subtract 37 and divide by 6. So what is 13 minus 37? Negative 24, less than or equal to 6x. Divide by 6. Negative 4 is less than or equal to x, which if it helps, you could write it as x is greater than or equal to negative 4. So which one of those looks like that? Yeah, we actually divided by positive 6, so that doesn't flip the sign. No, because I changed sides here. I just made that, I did this, that's like a symmetric property. Yeah. Then you would have flipped it. Then you would have had, right, negative 4 is greater than or equal to x. It's whatever you add or multiply or divide by. That's what matters. It doesn't matter that there's a negative number involved, right? You have to be, yeah. Do you think how? So, yeah, which one of those looks like it could be it? It's A, right? A. Why is it, I mean, why is it and not D? Because the circle is open, right? So that would have been a greater than, not greater than or equal to. Okay, now here's how you can do this with the calculator, right? If you go to y equals, right, go to y equals, and we're going to put that inequality to the right of the equal sign, the whole thing, right? So this is how this works. This is something you haven't seen yet, right? So first I'm going to put in 13 minus 2x. Okay, then I need that less than or equal to, okay? Second math. Second math. And you see all the inequality symbols right there. So we want number 6 because it's less than or equal to. And now I finish 37 plus 4x. 37 plus 4x. Okay? And when you've got it there, then you just hit graph and look at the graph. And you can see, you know, the line started at negative 4 and it went to the right. So now the only question that you wouldn't have, I mean, if you were just like looking at these is, should it be A or should it be D? Because you can't see whether the negative 4 is included. But maybe you should understand this because you started with, it's a or equal to that, you know, it's going to be the or equal to one. You could always check in the table of values, right? If you look in the table of values on one of these, if it's a solution, the y value is 1. If it's not a solution, the y value is 0. So you see, like here, actually negative 4 was included. So because it's a 1. If that was if we used the greater than symbol, then it would have been a 0 because it's not. The graph would have looked the same because, you know, that's just like one infinitesimal point. Okay, yeah. Second math. Okay, it's called the test menu. Okay, so that was number 8. So try to do the same thing for number 10. You could put that whole inequality right there. Now this time your answers are not graphs, but you should be able to pick it out. Right? Go to y equals and put this inequality. Let's try the calculator. Y equals. Put that in exactly like I said. Okay, right here. Let's see. No, that's a 0. Because you guys have these new calculators that you're only interested in the one that's at 1. You want the one on the left. So try to match that up with your answers there. Which does that look like? Okay. No, sure don't. Well, why did you make that into a greater than or equal to less than or equal to? Why is it greater than or equal to? So you said the one right? The one that's up above. Right? So here I'm going to put it in. Y equals, clear. 3 parentheses, x plus 2. Okay, where do I find the inequality symbol? Second math. And I need the number 6. And then I go 5 parentheses, negative 2 minus x. Right? So you put it in exactly like you see it. You look at the graph. Now yours, because you got the new, screens and color and all this stuff, it shows this line, but then it shows the 0 line too. That's not the one we want. This, the one that's above, that's the one. So where does it look like it's starting? Yeah, it looks like x is less than negative 2. Now, should it be or equal to? Yeah, we started with or equal to, so it should be x is less than or equal to negative 2, so letter A. So, I mean, you would expect you're probably going to have 2 like this on the test. And, you know this thing, you got them both right. 50. Okay? That's why it's 2 days, right? Now, yes? I can't hear you. Yes? Yeah, you'll have the same thing. I mean, a lot of these things I'm showing you now, we're going to do this after spring break. But I'll just thought we need to start it early so we do better on this test next week. You remember we did the systems of inequalities, and the solution is the shading on a graph? So 2 different inequalities. Each one is a line and shading. Right? A line and shading. And the solution is where the shading overlaps. So they want to know, based on that graph, which one of these could be right. So all of these, none of these are like solved for y. So if you wanted to compare the lines, you might want to solve for y. And then you'd be able to compare directly. Another thing you could do is remember about the x and the y intercepts, right? If I have, let's take one that's a little easier. For example, what is the y-intercept for this one here, right? If it's the y-intercept, the x is 0. So 2y equals negative 8, so y would be negative 4. So definitely we're looking for a y-intercept of negative 4. That one works. Okay. How about this one here? If I did the y-intercept for this graph, it's actually positive 4, right? That's not it. How about this one? Negative 2y less than 8, so y is negative 4. Could be that one. This last one, negative 2y. So it could be all three of those. Okay, let's look for the x-intercept of this one here. What's the x-intercept? -6, right? So let's see. There is one that has a -6 there, so we were good on both of those. There's a -6. There, that one's a 6, so it can't be that one. So actually, we've already canceled that one and that one. And how about this one? X is -6, okay? Let's look for the y-intercept of this one. The y-intercept is -3, okay? The y-intercept is actually +3. So just looking at the intercepts, I've already eliminated this one and this one and this one, so the answer's got to be that one. I mean, if honestly, the systems of inequalities are like usually the hardest questions that we get. You know, we have the most trouble with it. When we did these, we would have done something like this. We would have gone, let's say I just take this winning system right here. I would have had to solve for y. So 2y is greater than -3x minus 8. So y is greater than -3 x and -4, like that. And then for the second one, I would have to say -2y is less than or equal to -x minus 6. Divide by -2. Oh, what do I have to remember to do? Flip the sign. So this will be 1/2 x plus 3. Right? So how does it work to graph? Again, you're going to go, the y-intercept is -4. The slope is -3/2. How does that tell me from there to find another point on the line? You could either go down 3 and right 2, or you could go up 3 and left 2, right? Why is that line dashed? Because, yeah, it's just a greater than and not a or equal to, okay? So that's, and then which side of the line do you shade if it's greater? Above the line, right? So that would have given us this dashed line in that position, shading, right? Okay, the second one. The y-intercept is 3. The slope is 1/2. Up 1, right 2. It's solid because it's or equal to. And the shading is above. So where did the shading overlap? Right in that area right there. Now, you could put these, if you get these correctly solved for y, you could always put them in the calculator and let the calculator shade it. Yeah. No, I mean, that's too hard of a thing in this kind of, you know, computer-based format for them to like check on that. I mean, this is like this, and the next one I'm going to show you really the most they can do with this kind of question. Yeah. Yeah. That's the goal. That is the goal. We might have to flip the test a day so that we get that done, but I mean, there is a way to do this on the calculator. I don't remember if we did this when we were doing the systems of inequalities. Do you remember using the calculator to graph? So let's say I wanted to put the -3/2 x minus 4 in the calculator, right? This is different than the one variable inequality we did the first two problems today. Okay, I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to use the fraction format. So where's fraction format in the calculator? Alpha y equals 1. And I'm going to put my 3/2, right? 3 down, 2. And then I'm going to go to x and -4. Okay, then that's, at that point it's an equation. It's just a line. So you scroll all the way into the left margin, all the way to the left. And you're going to see it blinking. See it blinking in the left margin? So that's telling you right now that it would draw a line if I did that. Now, if I click it, if I hit enter once, you see that line gets fat. So if I graphed it, it would be the same line, just fat. Okay. Now, if I click it again, boom, it gives you a blinking upper right triangle. That means greater than. What's that? Yeah. I think you got to select it from the menu. Yeah. It ends up putting the...
It hit down and then...
You're going to be there.
Hit the arrow button.
The arrow button. Okay, so you got to go down. Yours is coming up with this little color and line. You got to get into the block next to the line and hit the left arrow, and it'll cursor through the same things mine is cursoring through. Whose was this? Okay. 94. Okay. So now we had a greater than. We want the upper right triangle. Now, notice what it looks like if I hit graph now. It actually draws the line with the shading. Now, the one thing it doesn't tell you, and yours might, because again, your calculator is more up to date, is whether the line is dashed or solid. Now, if I go back to y equals, and on the second line, let me put this 1/2 x plus 3, right? So alpha y equals 1 down to x plus 3, and then you got to select enter. It's still a greater than, and now I hit graph. But you know what? That's a lot of work to go through on a problem like this. That you would have to do that, 4 times, and each time you do it, you got to do it for 2 different inequalities. That's a lot of solving to get through. That's why I'd like just checking the intercepts. Checking the intercepts real quick. You might have at least eliminate some based on that. That's it. Okay, what do you got? You have positive 3/2 x and it's negative 3/2 x. So you missed that, right? Okay. So like I say, systems of inequalities will probably be kind of challenging for us. This is the other kind of question you could get with a system of inequalities, which is, this is number 13. Which one of these points is a solution? How would you tell? Yeah, just keep plugging them in to see which one you get. What's that? Well, you only have one in there. You got to put in both equations. Right. Well, you said. On the second one, you got left thumb. That's the lower left triangle. We need to move on now. Okay. Okay. So you could just plug in. I mean, this is actually what they intend you to do on a problem like this, is just plug in the x value and the y value, see if it leads to a true statement. So 0, 4. That would tell you that 4 is less than or equal to -3. So it's not that one. Let's try 1, -5. 1 would give you 4 minus 3, which is 1. -5 is less than or equal to 1. That's okay. Okay, let's try it here. 1. -3 minus 7, that would be -10. And -5 is greater than -10, that's it. So you just have to keep plugging them in until you find the one that works. Okay, we'll go back to that later. Okay. For this problem here, that's not what we want to graph. We just want to keep substituting x and y until you find a true statement. Okay? Okay, next. Change subject. So then we get into the linear stuff, right? So that's, we rushed through this and didn't even go over the homework. But the homework is this stuff, basically. Yeah. How could you tell which one of these has a slope of -3/4? No, you need to solve for y. Remember, the way we know the slope from an equation is because it's solved for y, we know it's whatever the number is in front of x. So none of these are solved for y. So, either you can imagine yourself, like if I subtracted this over here, it'd be -3x, and then I would be dividing by 4, -3/4. What about this one? If I subtract the 4x, it'd be -4x, and then I divide by 3, -4/3. That's not right. If I subtract this one, I'm going to get -4x, and then I divide by -3. That's negative 4 over negative 3, which is positive 4/3. If I subtract this one, I got negative 3x divided by negative 4, which is positive 3/4. But I mean, you could, I know there's a few of you that probably could just like see that. If not, then you're just going to have to go one at a time. Like this one here, right? Negative 4y equals negative 3x plus 7. Divide by negative 4. Negative 3 over negative 4x plus 7 over negative 4. So what does negative 3 over negative 4 equal? Positive 3/4, which is not that. See? So that was D. So try this one. 4y equals negative 3x plus 7. Y equals negative 3/4 x plus 7/4. Okay, we want to know the slope is whatever the number is in front of x, so it's negative 3/4. That's why it's letter A. Again, you should be writing notes to yourself, something like solve for y. Solve for y, it's the number in front of x. Something, it means something to you. Right? Okay, this is like the middle two problems of the homework. How do you find the slope from 2 points? Right? How? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? So 5 minus negative 1 divided by negative 5 minus negative 3. You know, at some point, you could just put this in the calculator, let it finish, right? But what is 5 minus negative 1? 6. What is negative 5 minus negative 3? Negative 2. So 6 over negative 2, right? 6 over negative 2 equals negative 3. Okay, now, here's the thing that we did in the first semester. I think it was in the first semester when we did scatter plots, which is also going to be part of this. And you can actually solve this kind of question with a scatter plot. So this is going to be like dusting off the cobwebs a little bit. But if you remember, to do a scatter plot, you go to, let me clear my memory, second plus 712. Go to stat, remember that? Edit, well, write it down. Stat, edit. Remember, you put the x values under L1 and the y values under L2. So we have 2 points. The x values are negative 3 and negative 5. Then I arrow over to the L2 and I put the y values, negative 1 and positive 5. So that ought to look like those 2 points. Negative 3, negative 1. Negative 5, positive 5. Okay? Then, how did we make the equation of a line once we put in a whole bunch of data in there? Stat, calc, 4. Right? Write it down. Stat, calc, 4. And there's going to be like 5 times you got to hit enter to get it to do go all the way through that list. Enter, 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 enter. And you can see that it's going to give you the equation of a line. They use ax plus b. And then the values of the a and the b. And the a is the number in front of x, so that's the slope. So you can actually, if you get to any kind of problem that says, here's 2 points, find the slope. Or here's 2 points, find the equation of a line. This process will do it for you every time. Yeah. 4. Stat, calc, 4. Enter, enter, enter 5 times. Enter. Done. Right? Right. Which one of these looks like it's got a slope of positive 3/4? Well, which lines don't have a positive slope? Really? I re-downloaded this thing. I thought I got it right this time. So the ones that go like this, those are negative slopes. So you're not looking at that. So it's got to be one of the ones that go up, right? This is a positive slope. So you want it to be, I'm trying to find a better spot where it like crosses, like maybe from right here. You see it's the intersection of grid lines. So I can go, let's say, I want to go from here to here. I'll go up 3, right 4. That's 3/4. Just try to find some place where you could easily count the squares. Up 3, right 4, 3/4. See, this one would have been from here to here. It would have been up 4, right 3. So that'd be 4/3. So we would have had that one. Okay, one more and we're done. Okay, last one. What kind of a line is that? No. What is it called? What do you call that? Is it horizontal?
Vertical.
That's vertical, right? So vertical lines have equations which are either, horizontal and vertical lines. One of them is y equals and one of them is x equals, right? So if you're not sure which one it is, then use your calculator and just put in on y equals, put in 2, right? And see what kind of line does it give you. It's actually going to give you the horizontal. Y equals 2 is horizontal. If you want to have a vertical line, it's going to be x equals. Well, what does x equal to that line? I mean, it's going to the -2, so x equals -2. So horizontal and vertical lines. Okay. Okay, that's the homework. Homework.